Making a video. Okay, you already know that. Yeah, quite apparent by now. So yeah, a couple of things relevant to the the Wayward thing. You know, he had to make his scene, do his little look at me thing all over again. Yes, the fourth time. Drama whore and such. So yeah, it left a comment on my video that I just found it so obnoxious. It's worth a read. Well, obviously, I have no intention of sitting around and hoping for the best. Well, that's what your video basically said. There's work to be done, and I'm going to do what I can to help move things along. Yes, whatever that means. What is that? I love you. Okay, yes, you're going to tell everybody you love them. That'll fix everything. It is interesting that you would criticize me for faith-based thinking. I don't think I said that. When there's when there's so much of that involved in your so-called final solution. What faith in what? Again, so you don't make any arguments here. As if your goal to convince the entire human race. Well, again, I'm not convincing the entire human race. I'm convincing exactly the same amount of your human race that you would convince to do your shiny city on a hill. Isn't it the same thing? You're going to have to convince most people to sacrifice their present for the future. You have no hope of creating a better world any other way, and that seems pretty unrealistic. But it takes about the same number of people, to tell you the truth, okay? So guess what? If I can get enough people to think that rationally, then I can get them to let go of their silly ambitions, okay? You want to go play again the game so you can this time maybe be a winner instead of a loser, okay? And say, oh, I won, and feel all good about yourself, okay? You want to go on some ego trip, playing with something insidiously dangerous. And yet you want to play with it. You've seen what it can do to people. You've seen the pain it causes in people. You've seen the abuse victims. And yet you wish to just step right in their faces and say, I'm on a mission to play silly games. And you're just a doggy downer. Or whatever the right phrase would be. Alright. As if your goal to convince the entire human race to make themselves extinct. Yeah, again, to make themselves extinct. You know, just to say, to let it go. That's right. And it wouldn't be themselves extinct, right? Is it? Is really the non-existence of my children and me going extinct? Would my children be me? Oh, quite obviously not. Is any more practical than my goal of making this shit worth what it was paid for? What was paid for? Worth what was paid for. Well, whatever. I think he means worth what was paid for it. But anyway, so he's talking as if he can create some sort of human dance. So fantastic. Everybody would be so impressed. Just make all the bad stuff go away. Yeah, the plague never happened. Cholera never happened. Smallpox never happened. Yellow fever never happened. It's just a silly ambition. And again, we're back to some kind of argument where you can spend $15 to cure the disease, or you can spend $7 zillion treating the disease. That's really your choices here. It's really easy to stop making the problem, really hard to fix the problem. So go ahead, be deluded. You're silly. This is the part that I found obnoxious. I'm sorry about your sister. Well, I don't really give a fuck what you are. But honestly, your unwillingness to let go of what happened to her sounds like a personal issue to me. I mean, just an incredibly insane comment to be making in light of his revelation, because he saw a poor little sad, pitiful person, and somehow it changed his life because the pitiful person said, I'm going to get up on my crutches and limp along a little bit longer until something else crushes me. And I have to put a belt around my neck and choke the life out of myself. So that can reclamate his philosophy. But watching somebody I lived with for, 7,000 hours, I saw their smiling face every day of my life for 7,000 straight days. Yeah, I shouldn't be affected by that. Let's remember that in the video I said, look, I can give you personal analogies. So I used some personal analogies, and I talked about animals in laboratories, and I talked about other things. So I could just talk about one of the roadkills. But see, he had to use my sister because he wants to play a little fucking psych game. And that's all it is. And the issue to me, and that is entirely your problem. So that's just amazing. So if you see something in life, and you are edified by it, it says to you, shit, now this is not part of a good bargain. I wouldn't do this if I knew it was going to happen to me, or something like that. If it gives you some sort of insight, this guy says, no, that's not the way your brain's supposed to work. Glibophile. That's what I'm going to call these people now. They're glibophiles. I mean, I could just sit here and say how dare you forever, but there's no even the point in it. Again, what was the point when I deliberately said the word? I can use some personal anecdotal examples. I said that in the video. As if your goal to convince the... No, we're back here. Personal and your problem. I'm not going to allow it to hold me back from forward progress. Well, again, we have this vague notion of what your forward progress is going to be. I have no confidence in your anything, okay? Any claim you make to be doing anything ever, because you've proved to be nothing ever. In fact, it's a good thing I won't be resubscribing once I make a new channel. Oh, gee, how exciting. He's going to make a new channel. Because I've, video game channel, hopefully. Because I've allowed this ideological sludge to hold me back long enough. Ideological sludge. So remember, this is the guy who went, yes, no, did an apology video, goes through this whole rigmarole, so it's just this wishy-washy, switch back and forth, make up a philosophy. You can't get more glibophile than this, right? I mean, he's just molesting the truth all over the place. It means something, it doesn't mean something. Now, hope is the big word. No, doom is the big word. Now, hope, doom, hope, doom, hope, doom. I mean, what the fuck are you doing on the fucking internet anyway? Talking like you know something, or you have arrived at some brain function that has any kind of meaning, because tomorrow you'll be cursing it. Your with us or against this crap is old. Well, it doesn't really matter how old it is. Some facts are really, 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 really old, and it doesn't change the fact that they're goddamn true. Over and done with. Yeah, over and done with how? How exactly can you're going to sit there and change the world? Yet there's a whole bunch of people who don't want the world changed. They like it just the way they are, and so you're going to just pretend they're with you, even though they're against you. So you're not even going to identify your enemy, and yet you're somehow going to defeat it. Well, guess what? You're going to fucking fail. That's my fucking prediction. Anybody wish to take some bets on the Wayward success probability? Come on, any takers? I'll wager whatever you got, whatever you're willing to put on the table that Wayward will fail colossally. I'll take all bets. I'll give you a 500 to 1 odds. How's that? Best of luck to you in your endeavors. Well, I wish you absolutely no luck, because you are the enemy of logic, the enemy of any kind of thing called consistency or integrity in thought. You're a fact molester, and you're a glibite. And yes, I wish you no good luck. Hopefully there'll be no more interaction between us. Well, at least we both can say we have hope in that. But yes, if you ever get back on the internet propagandizing bullshit, we're going to probably have an interaction, and I hope it will be as thoroughly as unpleasant as I can make it. Because you fucking suck. Deeply and substantially. Anyway, it's old metaphysical philosophy. Oh, that's the link to Rothschild. I mean, he puts this stupid thing here. It's actually a thing, this phantasmagorical pussy philosophy. And, well, it's a thing. That means something. That's supposed to mean something to me. There's actually Christianity. Oh, yeah, well, that means there must be something credible about it, because it exists, huh? Is that how it works? I don't think so. So we got replies here. Hypocrite, because he's against you and you're done with him. Hypocrite, because he's against you, you're done with him. Well, it doesn't really matter. Really, that's the way it should be. I mean, enemies should be enemies. I mean, he is the enemy of decency. He's the enemy of victims who wish not to be victims again. He's a victim endorser. So, yeah, fuck him. In the ass as hard as it can happen. I'm not going to allow it to hold me back from forward progress. What forward progress? That's a good enough question. See, this, you ought to quote this stuff, because this way of writing a comment, I'm not even going to bother with it, because it's just not the right way to write a comment. Even the quotes, if you don't put them on separate lines, it's interesting that you would criticize me for faith-based thinking, blah, 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 as if your goal to convince the entire human race to make themselves extinct is any more well, he's still quoting. I think he's simply making arguments on the internet that it's the best solution, regardless of whether people are willing to accept it. Well, certainly there would be less point in saying it if there's no capacity to ever change human behavior. But yes, I think quite obviously there is a capacity to change human behavior, and it's quite idiotic to call that faith. Faith is unreasonable hope. So he's basically just saying that Martin Luther King should have had no faith from past performance, or everybody should just have no confidence that human beings can be migrated from one position to another. And he's going to always call that faith, and then call himself faith-based, not faith-based. You want to insult the integrity of your own belief system, go ahead and insult it by calling it faith-based. But that's not what I'm doing, jackass. I'm reasonably understanding that I drew a conclusion through logical process by observing the world and being a little bit honest about what I was seeing. And I'm assuming that as an intelligent organism, I should be able to recreate that experience for somebody else by merely explaining the process that led me there. Gee, is that faith? No, I don't think it is. I think it's a rational way to approach a problem. Duh. Why does he get so angry over nothing then? I'm so angry. This video was not a so angry video, was it, fuckhead? No, I guess it wasn't. Yeah. If some people's opinion, in some people's opinion, progress is personal. It depends on your view of consciousness, letting go, etc. Yeah, well, if that's what philosophy is, then you're an idiot. If you don't realize that philosophy should have something to do with describing reality, wow, then you're really fucking dumb. So anyway, we can get rid of this nectar fucker. Enough of that crap. Let's see. So words like disgusting, nauseating in the past, where he talks about his sister as if Wayward felt, as if it's Wayward's fault because he doesn't share the view. Well, that's not what I said at all. I'm saying that Wayward's saying he's going to do something. He's going to do a dance that's so fucking spectacular that I would say go ahead and torture my sister for it. That's what he's saying. He's saying he can undo it. He can make all that pain worth it. He can say that's a great price to pay. Gee, that's all you had to pay? 5 years of torturing her to death and having her die? Gee, that's such a small price to pay for the fantastic thing the Wayward's going to do. He's going to do something so fucking cool that, gee, you could be torturing people to death forever and it'd be okay because it's such a spectacular pile of shit he's going to do. That's what he's saying. He's saying he can somehow fix it. He can make it go away as a reality, as a negative. God, you people are just too stupid. You're too stupid. Yeah. Well, I should have. Too bad I couldn't have banned this guy long before this whole thread of bullshit. Without anger, Gary would be merely implicating Wayward. Well, duh. Yeah, that's all I'm doing is pointing out that, first off, the guy can't ever be consistent, which makes him useless as a philosopher, much like Nietzsche, who I'll get to now, I think, just for the fun of it. Just because Entacantavad has a Nietzsche quote on somebody's video. I don't know whose it was. Well, anyway, here, I'll read it. So here's Roschek. Yeah, I wish you could just use a regular name. Christian DeAngelis makes a good point. The with us or against us mantra has little to do with logical extrapolation and everything to do with the chant of the Neanderthal. Oh, so he knew what Neanderthals chanted. Clearly, Neanderthals may have been wiped out by, Homo sapien. So, eradicated. So maybe they needed to understand that a little bit better, that the enemy is among us. Yeah. Who is unable to see the world in anything but binary. Well, I don't know. Yes, that's right. There is lots of binary. Okay, there's, people who molest children, people who don't molest children. Yes, people who do exploit people and enslave them, and people who don't. People who rape, people who don't rape. I mean, yes, these things can be put on different sides, and you can say, gee, these people are so much, so in need of a good steamrollering, and those people should be driving the steamroller. Yeah, it's not that hard to do. Ephesus good guys, yay. Non-Ephesus bad. Wow, well, it really isn't that complicated. But see, you don't value anything, you crazy motherfucker. So so this is why you don't understand anything. You have no values. You will watch anything get degraded and raped, except, of course, your own children. Then, all of a sudden, you'll know what a good guy is and a bad guy is. So, and then you claim to be philosophers. So, if it happens to you, then it's a truth. When it happens to somebody else, it's not. And if somebody cares about somebody else or is worried about the circumstance of somebody else's vulnerability, which makes them aware of the fact of their own vulnerability, so if they're clever enough to say, somebody else's vulnerability is just the same as my own vulnerability, and then see the gun pointed at somebody else as a threat to them, in a sense, you're going to claim they aren't doing the rational thing. Yeah, right. God, you people are so fucking stupid. 13 replies. I don't know if I'll waste time with that shit. So the scenario he posed is whether or not to push the button, and can be summarized as this: you have to make a decision to either guarantee avoiding the worst possible. Yes, so get to it. You say that you're with us or against us, has little to do with logical whatever. Which implies that you think there's some third option. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the option of, oh, let's all just be friends and live in shit. Yeah, what a great plan. My shit, especially. I shit more than everybody else. I'm sure Rothchek shits more than the average. And fuck the bitches. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't know why you quoted that. Sir, I don't know what that means, sir. Well, what are you doing this shit for? Okay, fuck you. I mean, if you can't type something that I can understand, well, I won't ban you. I'm just going to remove it for this. But fuck you. If I see another incomprehensible comment, fuck you. At least learn how to... I mean, even people who don't, where English isn't their first language, at least they can type something that makes sense. Fucking assholes. Anyway, here's the Antikantavad comment, a Nietzsche quote. So I just find this. Yes, this is the definition of fail. So there's one on Old Fan's video too. I have to go to that one. If we affirm for one moment, we thus affirm not only ourselves but all existence. So Nietzsche's just saying you have one beautiful moment, and in that moment we make everything else go away. And of course that's likely true. So when you're in the middle of fucking the bitch, yeah, maybe you're not thinking about the Palestinians or some other problem. Yeah, that's probably true. So it all goes away. For nothing is self-sufficient, neither in us ourselves nor in things. And if our soul, there's a soul, has trembled with happiness and sounded like a harp string just once, all eternity was needed to produce this one event, and in this single moment of affirmation, all eternity it was called good. Well, again, do you really think that's the way it works? That because you indulge in a moment of gratification, that you just undid the harm, that all of it was worth it because you had a potato chip and you went yum yum, that was good. That you're actually saying, you're calling it all good. That means you have now politically committed, to further spending. No, I don't think so. redeemed, justified, and affirmed. So again, indulge in a little bit of happiness, and Nietzsche says you just voted for the Nazis to take over the world. That's probably why things get so fucked up, is because absolute insane, crazy people are quoted as if they have something meaningful to say. Ugh, God, you people just suck so profoundly, with such a deep suckery. Okay, so yeah, this video, whoops, why does it do that? It shouldn't move down. I didn't ask it to move in any direction in particular.
Hey there everybody, this is Amanda, how's it going? Okay, so this is going to be my final video to Wayward Horizons. I wasn't going to make this video, but he did mention me quite a few times.
Yes, and what was quite disgusting, was the rough check, did a response, just a disgusting response video in Wayward's defense, and then posted a link on Wayward's video. And I wonder if Wayward's proud of that video. I wonder. Yeah. Because, I should do well, it's just such a disgusting video, there's just no point. A waste of time and space and whatnot. So, Anticontabot, good video. And I have a question. Is it possible for ANs to agree to disagree with those who choose to breed? Well, it just so fucking misses the point. Again, the whole problem is that, see, I only exist because somebody didn't stop my mother from having me. You don't really understand how the process happens, do you? You understand how the victims are made. Okay, the people aware of victimization, the people who don't want to rape somebody aren't the ones raping people. You don't understand that? Is it a stark choice between antinatalism and everything else, and never the twain shall meet? Well, again, where are we going to meet on? Agreement that you have a right to inflict torture? Why should I concede to some right that you have? Some authority you have to force people to march to your philosophical tune. And that's what you're doing. You're basically saying, well, look, if my kid comes out like Gary and he says, hey, Dad, you're an imbecile and a motherfucker, well, that's just too fucking bad for him. Because you're saying you're allowed to say you can impose it. Okay, it's because nature gave you the tools, a dumb force gave you the tools, you can use them. Just like a fist you could hit your wife with, or a dick you could rape a woman with. Yes, nature gave you tools that you can use, and you're saying, I'm going to use this one. And I'm not going to sit there and justify what I'm going to do. I'm not going to justify the risk I'm imposing to the people who are saying, hey, that's a preposterous risk you're taking. So if you had a neighbor who decides to build a little homemade nuclear power plant in his backyard, you would just agree to disagree on whether that's a good idea. I don't think you would. I really don't think you would. You silly person. You're imposing preposterous risk, and you're saying that I should somehow just look right past that and not see, and not be horrified by the implications of that crap. Well, fuck you. That ain't gonna happen. Oh, here's another Wayward comment on Amanda's video. Well, I feel you're straw-manning me here. I've never once excused the unjustified suffering of others. Well, yes, you did. And your whole video was about the fact that it's all redeemable. That somehow you're going to make it okay. That suffering will be worth it because you're on a mission from faith to do something so fantastic that it's going to make it all okay. You said that, you stupid fuck. Changing your mind 14 seconds after you just made the video doesn't make much sense either. But none of this makes any sense. Nothing any victim has gone through is excusable. Well, that's not what you said in your video. You said you're going to find the justification. You're going to find the good value that's going to make it worth it, because we already paid the money. We're going to somehow get the profit. That's the whole fucking theme of your video, retard. But that's part of life. And you can either fall into a void and try to learn from it. Fall into the void or try to learn from it. The void. So the void would be have reasonable respect for the risk of the game. reasonable apprehension and a reasonable fear of talking out of your ass, of saying something assertively, and then a few months later saying the exact opposite thing assertively. Yeah. Anyway, enough of this shit. What a fucking asshole. Jeez. Preposterous asshole. I've made it clear in my last video that I consider none of you my enemy, even Gary. Well, again, I consider you my enemy, so please, if you're going to have an enemy list, I wish to be on it, thank you. Really. I find you obnoxious, revolting, disgusting. You are the problem. You are the nature of the human asshole who can't be reasonable, rational, consistent. You don't know what philosophy is. All you know is what psychology is, and you're just wallowing in it. And you're disgusting. Oh, look, he even comments on the video after he slanders later. A wee bit of irony changing Wayward Horizon with a lack of understanding of anti-nasalism, why you yourself have literally regarded Inmendham as superior to Schopenhauer and Benatar. Again, and no one's allowed to have that opinion, right? I mean, Schopenhauer was a misogynist and a hypocrite, and, well, anyway, let's not even get into it. Anyone with an even rudimentary grounding in philosophical embeddedness and antinatalism and meta-context would immediately recognize the assassinacy of this claim. Yeah, whatever, right. Schopenhauer was a great evolutionary biologist, and he was the way he tied it all together was so brilliant, especially when he did talk about women. I mean, he really knows women, right? I doubt that you have any more understanding of antinatalism and effluent platitudes of Inmendham. In other words, your understanding. Yeah, whatever. You know, again, you're not making an argument, asswipe. These aren't, again, I'm going to somehow impugn the credibility of the messenger because you can't argue the message. And the message is about biology and about how Nietzsche was a dumb cunt. And you're too fucking stupid to figure that much out. But anyway, no fucking point. Yeah, there's really, I think that covers enough of it. Yeah. More than enough, actually. So, moving on. Yeah, I got that out of my system enough, I think. But again, in the video, I was just so clear. I said, I can offer some personal anecdotes. I said those words. You know, for the very purpose of just saying, look, don't argue these anecdotes. There's millions of them, billions of them. Everybody can find some horror in the world and say nothing's ever going to fix that. Nothing's ever going to... I'm never going to be able to see anything beautiful enough to make that thing, that other thing, okay, go away as a horror. Well, these people, I mean most people, of course. Most people are just still fucking dumb, ignorant, selfish monkeys, sadly. It's the sad truth. Yep. They don't have enough vocabulary words. Yeah, they still don't understand what a risk is, and they don't know what unnecessary is. So those kind of words, they just don't mean anything to them. They don't have enough vocabulary.